Today, we are doing both day 2 and day 3 because today is a block day. So, we're going to start with day 2. All we're focusing on today are prisms and cylinders. First, we're going to do surface area, then we'll do volume. So surface area is the area on the outside. Like if you were going to wrap a label around this, that's surface area. So lateral surface area of a prism, that's just around the outside. Like if you were putting a label on a can, kind of like what I was just saying. That is just P times H, and we call lateral surface area LSA. So if it's P times H, we have to know what both of those letters stand for. P, like before, stands for perimeter. H stands for height. The perimeter is the perimeter of the base, which means in order for us to do this, we have to identify what the base is, so we can find what the perimeter is. Remember, the base of your prism are the two shapes that are parallel to each other and kind of give it the definition. To find total surface area, so that's if you wrapped the entire thing, like you're wrapping a present. Wrapping a present is total. A label around like a can or something like that, that's lateral. If you're finding total surface area, or TSA, you take the lateral surface area, perimeter times height, plus 2 times the base. Now here, the base, or big B, stands for area of the base. P is the perimeter of base. So in order to do both of these things, we have to know what the base is. Like that's one of the most important steps here. So let's look at number 1. There we go. Okay, so here, my base is what shape? My base here is this triangle. Remember, bases could be top or on bottom, so I'm going to highlight both. Kind of helps me see some things. So those are both of my bases. I need to find the perimeter of the base to find LSA. So if I look at this top triangle, I have 2 sides out of the 3, 9 and 12. And if I look at the bottom triangle, I have 15. So I know if this side is 15, this one up here on my top triangle also has to be 15. That's how that works. The bases are identical. They are the same. So if 15 goes there, 15 goes there. So now I can find perimeter. Perimeter of a triangle is just adding 3 numbers together, kind of like you just did in your project. So that becomes 9 plus 12 plus 15. When I do that in my calculator, 9 plus 12 plus 15 gives me 36. So that's P, that's perimeter. Now I need to find height. Now height doesn't go of the triangle. Height talks about the entire 3D figure itself. So here, my height is the 16. It's the one piece that connects your 2 bases together. So to find LSA, you take perimeter, or 36, times 16. 36 times 16 gives you 576. Now for me to find total surface area, I take this number, like I did up here in my formula, and I add 2 times big B. Big B is the area of the base. So if you flip back, you have all of these area formulas at the top, not your lateral surface area, total surface area, or volume, just your normal formulas. Those are all the ones you'll need to find area or find perimeter. So here, I'm going to take the 576, and I'm going to add it 2 times the base, because there's 2 triangles. In order for me to find the base, or the area of the base, I'm going to take the base times the height and divide by 2. That means I need to figure out where the right angle is. So down here at the bottom, there's the right angle. That means up here at the top, there's also the right angle. Remember, your height is the one that touches the right angle, and the base is the other one that touches the right angle. You should be connecting those 2 pieces to get your base and your height. So here my height is 12, my base is 9, so that becomes 2 times 12 times 9 divided by 2. If you type that in your calculator, just like that, you should end up with 108. So now you take the 576 plus 108, because it's lateral surface area plus 2 times the base, and that gives you your total surface area, 684. Now you're going to do the same thing on number 2. Number 2, my base. Remember, base doesn't always mean bottom. Base means it's the 2 parallel congruent pieces. So here, my base is a trapezoid. Very similar to how I just did this triangle. There's a front trapezoid and a back trapezoid. I'm only going to highlight the front one, just because it's kind of hard to see the back one. And I need to make sure I have all 4 sides, because perimeter of any quadrilateral, I don't need a shortcut, I just have to add all 4 sides. I know this is 12, that's 23. This front one doesn't have anything, but the back one says 20, so this is 20. And then the top one doesn't have anything, but the back one does, it's 18. So now I can find my perimeter. 18 plus 20 plus 12 plus 23. That gives me a perimeter of 73. Then remember, your height isn't the height of the trapezoid, it's the height of the prism. So the piece that connects the 2 trapezoids, is this 15. So to find LSA, it becomes 73 times 15. 73 times 15 gives me 1,095. Now I need to repeat the same steps as before. I know the base is a trapezoid, so I'm going to do 2 times the base formula, which is base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. So if I go through this, remember height is always where the right angle is. So here is my height. Base 1 and base 2 are opposite of the height. So 2 times 18 plus 23 times 12, all divided by 2. You can type it exactly like I wrote it in your calculator, and it will give you the correct answer. That should give you 492. Now remember, you have to add perimeter times height in order. Remember, you have to add them, because up here it's perimeter times height. Oh, you can't see my finger. Perimeter times height plus 2 times the base. So perimeter times height we already did for lateral surface area, plus 2 times the base. So we add those 2 numbers together. Please don't forget that step. Your total surface area should be a bigger number than your lateral surface area. When I add these 2, I get 1587. Now we're going to move on to cylinders. Cylinders are really easy because the base is always going to be a circle. You don't have to figure out what the base is. Why am I not zooming? So now I need to go through the lateral surface area for both of these. For a cylinder, your lateral surface area, you only need 2 things. You need radius and you need height. We know what radius is. It's half the distance across a circle. We've been doing that forever. Height is still the same. It's the piece that connects the 2 circles. Total surface area takes the lateral surface area and it adds 2 pi r squared, the area of the circle, times 2. So now let's go through this. I need radius and I need height for both of these. And number 3, my radius is 11. It's the distance from the center to the edge. My height is the piece that connects the 2. It's kind of like if you were holding a soda can where you would be holding. That's 26. So now to find LSA, I just need to plug these things in. 2 pi, 11, 26. Remember, it's easiest if you do this with parentheses, but if you use the multiplication sign in between instead, it's not going to change your answer. Parentheses just kind of make sure you're okay. You're going to go to 1 decimal place. If it's not appropriate to go to 1 decimal place, like it's 0.98 or 99, go to the nearest whole number. That's how we round. So this becomes 1797. Now to find total surface area, you do what you just did, 1797 we already know, plus 2 pi radius squared, which is 11 squared. When you type that in your calculator, it should give you 2557.3. Oops. Can't see my screen. Sorry. Okay, so there's that. I want you to try number 4, but pay attention in number 4. Are you given a radius or are you given diameter? So pause the video, work through that, and then come back to it in just a moment. Okay, hopefully you paused the video and you didn't just keep watching it. Radius is half. It gives us diameter, so that gives us radius of 7.5, because 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and a height of 9. I'm going to let you plug these in. We will go over the answers on Thursday to make sure we were all correct. If I were you, I would pause the video here, like pause the video totally, finish your day 2 practice, because this is all of the day 2 notes. Finish the day 2 practice, then restart the video for day 3, because these are 2 totally different sets of formulas and sets of thought. So this was surface area. Pause the video, do the practice. Welcome back. Hopefully you paused the video and did the practice. But just kidding, because you needed this last problem. Whoops, sorry. So let's go through this. This is a work backwards. If I am working backwards, that means I'm given stuff and I need to find something I would already be multiplying for. So this is the kind of the same as our old work backwards steps. So it says the surface area, pause. If it says surface area and it does not say lateral surface area, you are using total surface area. Total surface area and surface area are the same thing. It says the total surface area of a soup can. A soup can is a cylinder. So before I do anything, I'm just going to write the whole formula down. Got the whole formula. Now I'm going to figure out what I know. I know the TSA is equal to 51.84. I also know the diameter, but there's no letter D in this formula. So I need to work with the diameter to get the radius. My radius would be 3 divided by 2, which gives me 1.5. Then it says find the height. So I know height is x because I don't know what that is. Now I'm going to plug in all of these 3 numbers, well, 2 numbers in x, to my original formula. TSA was 51.84. 2 is just a number. Pi is just a number. Those don't change. I know radius now. That's 1.5. I don't know height, so that's x. Keeping going. 2 and pi are still just numbers. Radius squared. So I need to simplify before I do anything. If you understand how numbers work, these are all just numbers. So I can plug that into my calculator. 2 pi 1.5 squared. That gives me 14.1. So now I can rewrite this. I've got 51.84. I can simplify again. I know this is 14.1. I simplified that whole thing. But I also know that these 3 are just numbers. If they are just numbers, I can simplify it to make it easier to work with. So that becomes 9.4x plus 14.1. Now this is a one-step equation. Yes, there's decimals. Who cares? I can work the same way as if there weren't decimals. So I would subtract both sides by 14.1. Which gives me 3774 equals 9.4x. Then I would divide both sides by whatever's in front of x. Whatever you get here, that's your height. It looks like a lot because there's a bunch of stuff, but really you're just simplifying and solving for x. So now if I divide that by 9.4, I get 4. That's my height. My calculator did most of my work, but when I'm working backwards, I have to fill in what I know, simplify, and then solve for x. These are all going to be 2-step equations 9 times out of 10. Now you can actually pause and finish your practice, because I know you probably couldn't finish it before that. Or you can just keep going to day 3. Day 3 is also very short. Like both of these were very short things, that's why we put them together. To find volume, it's a little bit shorter because there's no 2 steps. For surface area, you had lateral surface area, which is just around, and total surface area with it, which is the outside of everything. Volume is inside, the total inside. So to find volume of a prism, it's just big B times H. Big B still stands for area of base. H is height. Those things don't change. Now the only tricky part about finding volume of a prism is you're gonna have to figure out the base. That is the hardest part of all of these. So if I'm figuring out the base, let's look at number 1. My base happens to be on the bottom this time. It's a triangle. So there's my base. I made it yellow. If my base is a triangle, to find big B, I need the triangle area formula. It's base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height, but this is easier to work with in your calculator. Let's zoom in. Now, that means I need the base of this triangle, the bottom, and the height, which is next to the right angle. I know the height, but nothing is for the base. Remember, these numbers go from top to bottom. So if it's one way on the top, it's also one way on the bottom because your faces of the bases, are the same. So that's 12. So I can find this really easy. 12 times 7.3 divided by 2. 12 times 7.3 divided by 2 gives me 43.8. Then I just need to figure out the height. Remember, the height is the height of the prism itself, not the height of the triangle you already found. Once you've used it, you're not going to use it again. You need how tall the prism is, or think of it as the piece that connects the two faces together. That's here. So you would multiply those two things together, and that's your volume. Nothing fancy, nothing special, just straight up volume. You're just multiplying. Try number 2 if you want a challenge, or we can work through it together. If you want the challenge, pause the video. If you know you're not up for a challenge, that's okay. We'll just do it together. I've already showed you what the face was. This is another trapezoid. So for big B, kind of like we did on the front, that's base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. So I need 3 things. I need height, base 1, and base 2. Remember, in a trapezoid, my bases are just, that means they don't touch. So if they don't touch, maybe we should turn our paper sideways. If I'm looking at this, these two are my parallel pieces. B1, B2, they don't touch. If I try to use bottom and top, this is slanted. The slanted piece will eventually touch, so that's not going to work. It's only the pieces that don't. I also know if it's one thing in the back, it's the same thing in the front. So base 2 is 39.4, base 1 is 25. Height has to be the one next to the right angles, so that's 27. So now I can turn my paper back, and I can start working through these. Base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. This is just like what we had been doing for 2 units. We did it yesterday in our practice, or the day before. And we also did it for an entire project and that unit. So when I type that in the calculator, I get 869.4. Now remember, it's not just big B, it's big B times height. So now I need the piece that connects them. My piece that connects trapezoid to trapezoid is 35. So you just say times 35 in your calculator, and that gives you this ginormous number. It's okay if it's a ginormous number. You're filling the entire 3D figure up with something, so it's okay. Now for volume of cylinders, it's just base, big B, times height, divided by 3. What? I'm so sorry. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. I was looking for pyramids. It's pi radius squared times height. Obviously the coffee did not kick in today. So cylinders are always going to be easier because the bases are the same. You don't have to do anything special. You just need radius and height, kind of like when we were doing surface area. So look at number 3. In number 3, I already have radius, it's 18, and I already have height, it's 15. I'm going to plug it into that formula. Pi 18 squared times 15. Please make sure you're paying attention to the order of the numbers, because if you change the order, it will in fact give you something totally wrong. After you type that in the calculator, you'll go to 1 decimal place as always. It's okay for big numbers. The only tricky part about cylinders is they might give you diameter instead of radius, kind of like on the problem we had on surface area. Hint, hint. Do number 4. Once you're finished with number 4, you are finished for the day with your notes, not with your practice. You need to make sure your practice is finished. If it's not turned in by the end of class, because this is a block day, it will be points off. So please, 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 please don't get late work points off because you didn't turn your work in on time. If you have questions, we can talk about it on Thursday, but don't make everything be a question.